The task in front of you will never be greater than the power within you. That is written on the wall of the yoga studio I go to. And the quote is from Cintra Brown, who's actually one of my instructors. How freaking cool is that? And I love that. And it speaks to what we're going to talk about tonight, which is the power of surrender, of trust, of allowance. And I've had quite the journey with this, as I'm sure any of you control freaks can attest to this. My 16-year-old daughter just got her driver's license on Saturday. And we've been driving, and I've been that mom, like with my hand on the handle, or like you're too close to the line, like so controlling. And she's like, Mom, you're just stressing me out. Your stress does not help me drive better. I'm like, duh. She's so smart. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I make that realization? But you ever realize, like, the tighter you try to hold on to something, the less control you have. And I've had a history of addiction, and surrender is one of the things you hear over and over. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Like, how do you do that? How do you actually surrender? Well, first of all, what I believe it means, we'll start there, is when I am driving, when I have the wheel of my life, my proverbial life, I'm often led by the ego mind, which is the mind that wants to keep me safe in theory, which means more of the same. So if whatever I've done in the past didn't kill me, that's safe, according to the ego. It didn't necessarily get me to my dreams. It didn't get me to be self-actualized, didn't get me the right relationship, the right job, none of that stuff, but I'm still alive. So the ego wants you to go back to your pre-set points, right? Like the programs that are running in your subconscious mind, the ego thinks those are safe. So surrendering means, to me, when you start to question that voice and you start to say, God, Holy Spirit, whoever you pray to, it doesn't matter. What would you have me do? And you just are open. You're open to receiving information instead of thinking you know everything, because that's my history. Like, I think I know everything, even though, I don't know very much, really. In the overall scheme of things that are to know, I know very few of them. So it's hilarious to me when I catch myself in this little con with the ego, like thinking I know what's I don't know, what's right or what's the best thing. All those things that we trick ourselves and needing to be right. So when I catch myself, I laugh. I'm like, okay, yep, I see your ego. Yeah. Yeah, Karen, you're the smartest person around or whatever, and I just play with it. But then after I get a little chuckle, I will often say, okay, how else could I look at this? And I pray to whoever I pray to. It doesn't matter. How would you have me see this? Help me to see this through your eyes. I love that prayer. I love it. Help me to see this person through your eyes if I'm judging somebody, because in my beliefs, God, universe, source, spirit does not judge anyone. It's impossible. God is love. How does love judge? It's impossible. It's impossible. And the second that I judge somebody, I'm not in love anymore. So recognizing that when I catch myself in judgment, I'm like, oh, I pull back. And there are lots of things that I do personally, which, are in other episodes. Like, I ask, like, okay, where's that me? Where's that person a reflection of who I am? And things like that. And then maybe I'll call somebody to get out of my being right about whatever I'm judging someone for. So there's all these things, but surrender, it's always been this concept that's been ephemeral. It's been like an idea. I'm like, that's a nice idea, but I don't really get it. And then somebody said to me one time, think of it as just softening. I'm like, oh, that I can do. That I can do. I can soften. So when I'm being rigid about something, when I'm being right about something, you bet your ass I'm being rigid. If I could just breathe in and soften and say, what's one other way I could look at this situation? Just one. What's one other way? Because the ego, it thinks in black and white. And it sounds so smart in our heads. It sounds so logical. It's not. It's not. So if you're thinking in black and white, right or wrong, left or right, up or down, that's the ego mind. So if you invite in just one more possibility, you're inviting God, universe, source, spirit in to play with you. And the second you do that, you can return back to the truth of who you are. And for me, that's an easy form of surrender, just questioning the voice and saying, okay, what's one other way I can look at this? Because it's just start to notice yourself how often you're in an A or B. It's either A or B. There are no other possibilities. That's how I always know, like, the ego's got me. It's got me and it's playing a game. And when you start to question the ego, or you invite God in, universe, source, spirit, it can't continue its charade, and you will return to the truth of who you are. Now, I believe that God wants us to be happy, that it is our birthright to be happy. That's what we're here for. We are here to open our hearts to love unconditionally and to be loved unconditionally. And of course, that starts with us, right? We get to love ourselves so much that we wouldn't let one negative, nasty thought about ourselves ever pass without noticing. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have them. What I'm saying is you get to love yourself so much that when you catch yourself, you're like, wait a minute, is that really true? Am I really the only person on this earth that God ever created that's a piece of crap? Like, of course not. You're special, but not in that way. You're special because you have unique gifts and talents and abilities, and you have this blueprint that you are here to fulfill. And the ego mind talks you out of it a lot of times if you're anything like me. So it's catching yourself. Like, anytime you think like, oh, that was so stupid of me, essentially you're saying, I'm stupid. I was stupid in that instance, which means I'm stupid. Or, anytime we make a mistake or we're not perfect, we think, oh, I must be a piece of crap. And it's simply not true. So just start noticing that, and do not ever let those thoughts go unguarded or unquestioned again. Love yourself so much that the second you catch yourself with one of those thoughts, like I'm not enough, or I'm not worthy, or I really messed that up, that you replace it. You're like, of course I'm worthy. God does not create crap. I am a magnificent masterpiece. You are a masterpiece. You were perfectly created in the image of God. You are as you were created. So remember that when you start believing anything else, just know that that's the ego mind. Remember, it wants to keep you safe, which means it wants you to repeat everything that you did in the past because that didn't kill you. So your dreams, no, those aren't safe. Pull back. You're going to get rejected. So when you catch yourself in those cons, take a breath. Take a breath. Say, God, I know you got me. And invite God in. Say, please take the wheel. I ain't got this. But I know you do. And one of the other prayers that I love is when I think I know what's best for myself or somebody else, and I catch it, which sometimes I don't until afterward, but I'll say, God, I know that I don't know what my brother or sister needs, but I know you do. Speak through me. Use me as your vessel. Use me, God. I am here. And when our will is in alignment with God's will, we are pure joy, pure love. We're not self-conscious. There's nothing that we could say or do that's not lovable or that's not in alignment with God's will for us. So for me, that's another form of surrender. Now, trust. for me, it comes down to, do I trust myself or do I think I'm full of shit? And for a long time, I was full of shit. And when I catch myself in these cons that I play, uh, like I'm going to work out 5 times this week, whatever it is for you. And then the moment comes when it's time to work out. I'm like, well, I'll do it tomorrow. And my subconscious mind is like, she's kidding herself. She's gonna work out, relax. It's talking to my body like, you got nothing to worry about. So the best way, the quickest way to build trust with yourself is to be in integrity with your word every single time. So before you make an agreement, whether it's in your head or out loud, you ask yourself, like, can I really keep this? What's my level of believability? Do I believe I'm really going to follow through on this commitment? So unless it's at a 9 or a 10, zip it or say, wait a minute, I need to renegotiate before I set that declaration. If you don't believe you're going to do it, you get to ask yourself some more questions like, well, what is something attainable for me? So maybe working out 5 times in 1 week is not, it's not a good goal for me. Maybe I'll choose 2. Could I do 2? Yeah, 2 sounds good. That sounds more like it. And if you believe yourself, then that's a good indication that this is a good goal for you. And then no matter what, no matter if it's midnight on the last day, you work out, you stick to your commitment. And when you do that incrementally, your subconscious mind is like, oh, wow, she did what she said she was going to do. She followed through. I guess I can trust myself. And it happens so quickly, but can also crash down in an instant. I told this story recently in a group that it was the middle of summer in Phoenix. It was probably 110, 115 degrees. And I had an infant in a car seat. And I went to the supermarket and I went all the way out to my car. I started the car, put my daughter in the, buckled her in, unloaded the groceries. And I got to the very end of all the bags. And there was a $1 bottle of hot sauce that I did not pay for. And trust me, for a second, I thought, oh, nobody saw me. The buzzer didn't go off. It's 110 degrees. My daughter's in the car. Everybody would understand. And I caught it. I'm like, nope, I will know. I will know. So I'm like, my integrity is worth so much more than $1. So I shut off the car, got my daughter, went back in the store and said, excuse me, I accidentally stole this. They were laughing too. So I paid for my $1 hot sauce and I went back out. And I think they were shocked. I don't know if that's not a normal behavior, but for me, it's worth it. It's worth the inconvenience to keep my trust, which is also the basis of confidence. If you don't have trust, there's no way you can have confidence. Now, the other part of trust is, do you trust your higher power? Do you trust God? Or do you think God is like fictitious? Do you think God only helps certain people or has only got certain people's backs, that you are unworthy? Like I said before, like you're the only piece of crap God created, so God doesn't have your back. So if you find you trust yourself, do you trust life? Do you trust the universe? Do you trust God? And when I first started coaching, I received information auditorily. So I would hear things to say like in the moment to people, and I'd be like, I can't say that. That sounds so mean. They're going to fire me. And so I would water it down because I really was afraid. I didn't have very many clients and I didn't want to get fired. I thought I needed the money. And so people got really watered down results. So I'm like, well, this isn't working. So one time I heard something and it was harsh. I don't remember what it was, but it was harsh. I'm like, okay, well, what I'm doing on my own is not working. So I said the thing, and it's interesting because I wasn't attached at all because it wasn't coming from me, but I watched it. It was like a slow motion gut punch. The woman went like, all right, probably not, but in my mind, that's how it went. It was like I punched her in the stomach, but then there was like this crack in her facade, in the masks, in the armor she had been carrying, and this weight lifted off of her. And she started to cry, which, I'm okay with. And she's like, oh gosh, thank you. She's like, I don't know how you knew that, but I've been carrying this around and it's so heavy and I'm so ready to let it go. And it created that opening that I personally, there's no way I could have created that unless I was allowing myself to be a vessel. There's no way I, Karen Seltz, could have created that breakthrough for that woman. No way. But I trusted in the moment. I trusted God to speak through me. And ever since that day, before I get on any coaching calls, before I get on a broadcast, before I press go live or record or anything, I say, God, get me out of the way and speak through me. That's it. That's my prayer. It is that simple because I have nothing to say to you that you need to hear. Nothing. But when I allow myself to be a divine vessel, I know this message is for someone. I know it's reaching the target. I know it's reaching you. If you're hearing this, this was meant for you. So take it in. Take it in. The other part of all this is allowing. So, like I said, through my human ear, what came in was like, I can't say that. That's mean. But I don't know. Like sometimes it's the F word that comes out when I'm channeling, which is so shocking to me. But I don't know what it takes to wake somebody up. But God does. So don't judge what's coming out of your mouth. And the other thing is when you allow yourself to be the vessel, to channel, it's really fascinating for me at least. And I'm sure you'll have this experience. Let me know. Email me and let me know. Whatever comes out, I am so unattached to it. It's like, if they think it's brilliant, I'm like, I'm so neutral. If they think it's crap, I'm like, it's the same. I have the same feeling inside, whether they think it's crap or the most brilliant revelation they've ever had. It's so neutral and I can't even explain it, but it's like being unattached. It's like being the observer, being the vessel. So play with it, try it. Just say the prayer, like, get me out of the way and speak through me. If you're talking to your daughter or your spouse or your friend, your congregation, your following, whoever it is, get me out of the way, speak through me. I don't know what my brothers and sisters need to hear, but I know you do. That's it. It's like, okay, here I am. I'm open. Throw me the ball. Put me in, coach. I'm terrible at sports analogies. I don't know why I tried it, but I'm having fun. So hopefully you're laughing along with me. Allowance is the other thing I'm going to talk about, and not the money you earn as a kid for doing your chores, but allowance. When we allow what the universe has in store for us, it is way different than what most of us grew up doing. Most of us, especially women, we learn to be self-sufficient. And for me, it was, maybe my needs weren't being met as a child. So I learned that not to have expectations of other people, but also not to say yes. I learned not to say yes to anybody who was offering assistance. And this is fascinating. I was saying no. People would say, oh, would you like help with your groceries? No, thanks, I got it. Would you like help with this? Nope, I got it. Do you want to talk about that? Nope, I'm good. To everything for such a long time. But I didn't realize I've been like head deep, like up to here in manifestation teachings. And when we say no to the support the universe brings us, we're saying no to money. We're saying no to opportunities. We're saying no to everything. We're like, nope, no, God, I got it. Nope, I got it, God. No, thanks. No, thanks, I got it. I'm good on my own. And we wonder why we don't trust God when we're saying no to everything God, the universe, source is bringing to us. So one exercise you can do, you ever hear of the Year of Yes? It's a book. Well, I don't want you to say yes to everything. I want you to say yes to what's in alignment. But instead of saying no really quickly, one interim way to play is say, just take a breath. You don't have to answer. You don't have to answer right away. Just take a breath. And you can say, let me feel into that. Somebody asks you to do something or ask you if you want something, like, hold on a minute, let me check in. Let me check in with myself, because you know in your body. If it is a no, then you say no. If it's a yes, you're like, yes, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you. So like I said, I've been doing this manifestation, like reading and really like immersing myself in it. And it's like, I feel like I'm starting to really get it, like in my body, like, oh. And I'm going on a trip in a couple of days. I'm going to a Dr. Joe Dispenza week-long retreat in Colombia, in Cartagena. And a friend of mine, very randomly, gave me a $50 bill today. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh. And he said, enjoy your trip in case you see something you really want. I just want you to have this. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm like, I'm just open. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, universe. Thank you, God. Like, yes, yes, please, more of that. Years ago, I would have said, no, that's too much. You don't have to do that. And I would have felt unworthy of it. This time, it never crossed my mind to say no, to reject his offer. It never even crossed my mind. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such huge progress. So notice when you catch yourself saying no, when people are offering you support of any kind, and start practicing. Now, when I was in leadership coaching, I would give people a stretch, which is like something out of their comfort zone. People who had trouble receiving, I would say, okay, you get to receive, you get to ask for or say yes to support at least 3 times a day. And it could be support that was given. And one woman I gave this to, she's like, somebody at the dog park offered to pick up my dog's poop. And I said, yes. Like, that's a good one. Who wants to do that? I mean, that's some master level manifesting right there. I thought that was fantastic. But, someone offers to pay for something for you. Someone offers to take your groceries out to your car. Someone offers to open the door, whatever it is, just say, yes, thank you. I receive. Someone gives you a compliment. Receive. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I love it. So practice. This is a practice. It is not a perfect. Notice when you are being unkind to yourself. Just notice it. And don't beat yourself up for it. Say, oh my gosh, I caught it. And then replace it. Like, I am a worthy child of God. Whatever works for you. I often will invite people to write down some truths, some basic truths. Like for me, one is, I am as I was created. I am as precious as the day I was born. Because think about a newborn. They're so beautiful and precious and whole and complete. So whatever your truths are, just write them down. When you're in a good place, write them down. Like, I am pure love and joy, and I am one with the divine. Whatever it is for you, write those down. And when you catch yourself with those negative thoughts about yourself, replace it. Say, wait a minute, that's not true. This is what's true. And play. Don't beat yourself up for being mean. Don't do it. And then say the prayers that I've shared with you. Like, God, get me out of the way. Speak through me. I don't know what my brother or sister needs, but I know you do. And play, have fun, always have fun. If you learn nothing else from me, just learn to have fun. Because that's the best way to manifest, and it's the best way to spread love and to be happy. Yes. Ah, I love you all. Next week, I have a guest that we pre-recorded an episode. She'll be hosting it. So if you want to come live for the Q&A, she will be here. Her name is Dawnese Openshaw. She is a brilliant leadership coach, a heart-centered love. I love this woman. She's an adoptive mother. She's written 3 books, all kinds of things. So be sure to tune in next week. Thank you so much for watching Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. I'm your host, Karen Seltz, signing off.